Do you know who else made
So Econoboi talking to Lonerbox. Let's go.
these mistakes? Sorry. Steven made these mistakes.
Oh yeah, I already watched it. But
Didn't he? Didn't he befriend fucking Vosh and Hassan and all these people like for quite a while because they masked on quite well with him? I made that mistake for a long fucking time. I had to be a socialist or a self-proclaimed communist for fucking 10 years before I realized how mental these people were. Before I started making content online and streaming and absorbing it the entire like all fucking day. That's when I noticed things were wrong. It took a long time. So yeah, I don't think like I don't know why. Again, I keep saying this to you guys, chat. Like, assume good faith until proven otherwise. And I think
Hey,
you're
Lonerbox, can you
assuming
hear me?
bad faith on Pisco before you, when you haven't been proven like otherwise on good faith. Yeah, sorry, hi.
Hey, sorry. Yeah, I'm on my phone. How do I sound? Is this tolerable?
Yeah, I'll tolerate you. Yeah,
I'll tolerate you too, my socialist brother.
fuck you. Listen, okay, did you hear me talk about Clement Attlee earlier?
I saw you had described him as something like a social democrat that didn't really do socialism, but that's about it.
Okay.
But by the way, I just want to say socialism is completely retarded, okay? Why the fuck? Can anyone please explain to me why the fuck would you advocate for something? It's a solution to a problem that does not exist. Okay, that's what it is. Because I'm pretty sure I saw like something like, oh, these are the reasons why I advocate for socialism, right? And I'm just like, hold on, but capitalism solves all of these problems. Like well-regulated capitalism solves all of these problems. Why do you need to go as far as socialism to do it? Why? There's no reason to, right? Does that make sense, guys?
That part's not particularly relevant.
So
Okay.
stupid.
I think it's fine to call Clement Attlee a socialist, right? Because I'm from fucking Europe, and how many? I'm not going to turn over 120 years of social democrats calling themselves socialists, or people who do nationalization and calling that socialism, even though they have no intention of ever doing a Marxist-Leninist Soviet shithole, right? Yeah, you believe in that, like nationalizing healthcare and all that, and you want to call yourself a socialist? Like, yeah, you are. That's the use of the word. That's its meaning. The thing that I think is going wrong with this whole interaction is maybe
I
Hotchfield
don't
as
like
well.
competition.
Did you didn't get the bit when I spoke about Clement Attlee and his attitude towards communism? Did you?
No, but I understand that Clement Attlee and this is the history of all Oceanic and European labor parties, where they all, to varying degrees, go to great lengths to distance themselves from Bolshevism and essentially the contemporary Marxist-Leninist movements of the time. Like one example that I thought was particularly funny was a lot of Labor Party manifestos from Oceania and Europe. They'll focus, like, we believe in democracy, like, we're not Bolshevists. The Australian manifesto from, I think, like 1929 basically said, like, we are not the socialists of Bolshevism or something like that, right? Because they had this kind of constant struggle of association even 100 years ago.
But they were also still nonetheless distinguished from liberals, because the Liberal Party definitely didn't want to nationalize the health service or the railways or progressive taxes or anything else, right?
Yeah. Liberals and conservatives back then were, properly, there was the neoliberal turn for the socialist movements, but then conservatives became a lot less completely insane about, maybe we should have things like some welfare payments. But back then, yeah, they were really crazy.
I think the problem is that Clement Attlee, he also had like a mini McCarthyist era. Like, at least the closest that the UK had to McCarthyism was under Attlee, when he formed the Cabinet Committee on Subversive Activity, and he like got a bunch of people who were Communist Party members or even suspected Communist Party members, often erroneously, and he got them fired. Like, loads of innocent people lost their jobs because of the overreach here. And obviously there was never, I don't think, even back in the 30s when Attlee was saying nice things about the Soviet Union and their economy, the communists always hated him, right? He was a social fascist to them, and he didn't like them either, and he made it very clear. Like, he basically hunted them.
No,
Yeah.
I understand all that history. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is where there's an issue. Fuck, I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. When I argue with people over Israel, often these debates present themselves as like issues over war conduct, and people think that I'm too soft on their war conduct, and then I can give them a million examples of times that I've shat on IDF.
What? Fuck.
Hey, Masaki, thank you so much for the 5 gifted, buddy. That's really appreciative. I'm sorry. I appreciate it, okay? You know, I can always count on Masaki, all right? Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. They're very kind. You're to me like how Sake Tanuki is to Vosh, okay?
War conduct, whether it's in this war or in the last 100 years. Like, I know quite a lot about most IDF atrocities in history. The problem is that I don't think they're actually... But that doesn't seem to connect with them. And I think the problem that they have is it's not actually that I don't talk about the conduct or that I don't call it out or even that they think I'm too soft on it. I think the issue is because ultimately, for all I don't like about the IDF, I don't want them destroyed. And the people who come at me with these debates about conduct, they're not actually debates about conduct. They want the IDF destroyed. And I don't convey that Israel is my enemy to a degree that those guys want me to, because I don't think they're my enemy. And I think that's the problem. And I think the issue that we got here is that although I guess like you and Pisco and all that seem to have no time for vanguardism or MLs and all that, I think maybe Hutch is getting this as well. They're not getting it communicated clearly enough that you see these people as enemies, or maybe you don't. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty. Yeah, I mean that's pretty clearly the kind of main disagreement. I mean, I think that. You know, and I understood that, and I understand that now. I think that, you know, my general argument in that regard is like, okay, it's mostly just like, okay. I mean, I guess like I'm not like usually the type. I mean, certainly there are some things that trigger me, and you know, I'll get a lot more animated and make it a lot more clear how strongly I feel about something in certain circumstances. You know, but I guess I just don't have. For the most part, I guess I don't have like the energy for that. Like, I think that, for instance, if I had like yelled at the Vanguard and called them dumb fucks for saying Biden didn't even try with student loan forgiveness, you know, I think that like single clip would have prevented at least me almost entirely from being involved in this like supposed controversy with how we handled the Vanguard interview. Because it seems like what people want, like you said, is like that very sort of like stark, like separation between the two, and not for you to just say, like you said, like, oh, well, I just disagree. Like, no, I think Biden actually did do this, and you know, have some pushback in that regard, which I guess I do understand intellectually, but it just doesn't seem like I think that my general mindset, especially with regard to like MLs, right, is that there's such a fringe.
Oh my god, Econoboi is such a Yappuccino, dude. Did anyone order this Yappuccino, dude? Who asked? Oh my god. Remember, people who are unable to get to the point concisely are dumb, okay? People who are unable to make an intelligent point concise are stupid. All right, you're welcome.
Kind of portion of the left that I don't really find it. I guess I just don't find it very necessary to like take some kind of extremely proactive like oppositional stance to them, even though I do oppose them, like you said. But it's like, you know, they're MLs. It's like, dude, this is like 1 in 10,000 people or something. Like, I don't know. I just don't know like how big of a deal they are, basically.
Do you feel that in our space of like alt political media, do you feel the same about them, or do you think they have more influence than just like 1 in 10,000?
Yeah, I think, if we're going to narrow the space to essentially online politics, like, let's say, like, left of center.
More shall gather, more shall enter the fray.
Hope you get Alice. More Econoboi just sweeping like a maid. Hey, thank you so much for the tier 3, dude. That's crazy. That's really good. Also, yeah, just thank you. I appreciate that. But also, can I just say this? When does Alice come out again? I need to keep watch for that so I can return to the game after she comes out. Yeah.
Online politics, then I would say that I guess I wouldn't necessarily use the word ML, but like generally speaking, like anti-democrat, socialist media like Breonna Joy Gray, Hassan Piker, you know, people like that are very like
Legit
disproportionately
today?
represented, I would
Really?
say. Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
that's
okay,
and
okay.
obviously
I
that's
got
our
you,
space,
fam.
right?
I got you.
Yeah, online. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
and this
check out
is
the stream.
it's really frustrating because I feel like what I'm getting from this debate is that like people can't really find a term for what the issue is, because calling it just socialist is a really retarded thing from Stephen. I think like just calling him
Here,
socialist
three,
is
two,
not
one,
really going to
paste.
encompass it, because again, I think even he knows this. It's not that even it's not even if they're not doing it over the economy. Like there's the Vanguard with all the fantasy about bullying Manchin into a 15 minimum wage or whatever, but it's not even that. It's like it's if they're not arguing about the economy, they're also dead weighting the Democrats on Palestine, right? Like because everything is a purity test over genocide and defunding the entire state of Israel, or maybe even going further and trying to like invade the country, as Hassan was saying.
Whoa,
But yeah,
what
I think
the
there's this intersection of that like socialist like absolutism and also the campism on the left alt media that I think is just like, if it's not a threat to democratic success now, it will be in 5 or 10 years, because it's everywhere in alt media, and it's like it's just a cancer. I think it like, and I don't think them saying once or twice a year that yeah, there's a harm reduction, you know, one is worse than the other, I don't think that undoes the rest of the year where they are just like dragging any left opposition to MAGA or anything else down, you know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think, you know, I could buy the hypothesis that, you know, if you look at the polling for Gen Z and kind of the spaces that Gen Z and Gen Alpha kind of are operating within, you know, I could buy the thesis that, oh, well, you know, Econoboi, you might be right now that it's not that big of a deal, but, you know, in 10 years, maybe instead of, you know, 1% of self-identified socialists being Marxist-Leninists, maybe it's, you know, 25% or something like that. You know, it's like 1% of the entire country or something like that. It's like, you know, I could imagine something like that happening. And insofar as that does happen, well then, you know, I think I would get a lot more, I guess, militant in my opposition to them. I mean, you know, because I think that, like, for instance, I have a much greater kind of like visceral.
But this is the problem now, right? Like, again, I've already watched this, just FYI, so this isn't a blind reaction. But the issue with Econoboi here is that he just seems incredibly nonchalant with this entire issue. Like, it feels like he's not really taking anything seriously, right? Like, sure, obviously, you know, he wore the fucking Tinky costume to be funny on purpose, right? But the thing is that, like, it doesn't feel as though he thinks that they are a real threat. But they are a real threat. Like, people have been saying, yeah, you need to take them seriously. These people are infiltrating our movement. It's already happening, right? Like, you can see it plain and simple. Like how many people are like pro killing CEOs now, or pro, you know, fucking, like, fuck. Like, how many clips do you have to see of Hassan saying that he wants to have the streets run red with landlord blood? Right, like it's actually crazy how much Econoboi is like actually just sweeping. Like the thing is that I think the most accurate term is that he's sweeping. He's sweeping for tankies, right? Like that's what he's doing. He's not a tanky himself. No one is saying that. He doesn't have any tanky beliefs himself, except for some, right? But no one is saying that he's a tanky. No one thinks that he wants to commit atrocities. But like, this is the definition of a useful idiot, right? He's like Candace Owens for the racists. Right? But yeah. You don't listen to my Econocock. But I legitimately wish that Lonerbox would push back, because there's so many examples, and I know that Lonerbox knows these examples too, right? I know that Lonerbox knows like all of these like Hassan clips of Hassan saying crazy wild shit, right? That Crimea is Russia? That Crimea is Russia? You know, the largest fucking political streamer, or one of them at the very least, saying that Crimea is Russia? Really? You're comfortable with that? You're telling me you're comfortable with that? Okay, dude.
Reaction to like Trump and like Trump supporters.
I wouldn't be comfortable
because
with that. Okay.
They're clearly, as a movement, just like so substantially more. I mean, like, it's like trivially true. Like the Trump movement is so substantially more powerful similarly with like on Live and Learn, right? Like a lot of I think pretty much we've had like essentially wall to
It's a Crimea
wall,
River, yep.
like positive, like, oh my goodness, like, let's vote for the Democrats, let's go. We got a lot of enthusiasm, like we were pretty optimistic. And then when we lost and we had to adjust our priors, it was like, man, yeah, like the Democrats, this and that, like they really need to adjust. And so we've had like more like wall to wall criticism of a lot of the current like establishment, more like tilt moderate leadership. But again, that's just because like those are the actually existing people that are brokering the power arrangements in our society, right? It's not that like if you listed out ideologies on paper, we would obviously agree more with Marxist Leninists than with establishment Democrats. Like, no, like people have asked, like, would you vote for Hassan or Richie Torres? Well, like, no shit, I'd vote for Richie Torres. But I mean, it's like, obviously Richie Torres is a significantly more relevant power broker in society than Hassan Piker, if I had to guess. So
yeah, I don't know. It's to me, I think it matters in the sense that they are a disproportionate representation in the alt media space, and that I
Oh god, like can you hear like Econoboi like literally fucking fucking drinking his fucking soda right now like a fucking privileged American while he's like completely sane-washing. He's like sane-washing the Tinkies, right? He's downplaying the threat while he's like chomping on McDonald's burgers right now and like fucking drinking from a soda. God, just listen to him. He's disgusting viscerally, he's a monster. He's not a monster, okay? And he's like a dumb, useful idiot for the left, okay? But
I do see it bleeding through. I think one of the reasons that Biden came off as so sometimes like incoherent on Israel-Palestine was because it felt like he was trying to appease to do something to respond to the far left response to him, but also trying to balance that with just reality. And then you get really confusing policies about like talking about getting fucking 400 trucks in every day because like of some misunderstanding with UN data and shit like that. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just worries me. But I feel like we're in a position now where like you guys, because I'm not American, I don't really give a fuck, but you guys are like the SPD, and I guess like the KPD is sitting there thinking like, can we make use of this or these guys or not? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, like I think like I think to the extent that like a Brianna Joy Gray type, like where she's like, no, like literally it's like the morally right, strategically correct. She thinks it's like by essentially any axis, like it's the correct thing to vote against the Democratic Party and to vote for like the Green Party and like organizations like that and stuff. And it's like I've had basically no patience for stuff like that. Like that's just stupid. That's completely dumb. I would never invite Brianna Joy Gray to be a part of the kind of like inner party of Democratic spaces. I wouldn't want her to be part of like the only context where I would want to interact with Brianna Joy Gray is like either like it would either be like oppositional, like we would have a debate, or I would insert at least something of a debate. Like even if Brianna Joy Gray invited me onto her show, oh hey, like we got a Econoboi here, he wrote this article about this and we're here to talk to him about it. Like he wrote about like socializing public wealth or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah. And Brianna Joy Gray, like, hey, just to be clear, like this is why you should vote for Democrats. Cause like literally the only chance that we have to do this is by electing like DSA members to be members of Congress or something. Right. Like similar to how like, I think Pisco does a pretty good job of that, where like he'll get interviewed.
Yeah. But like, this is like very passive. Jesus Christ. What the fuck was that? Like, this is like very passive resistance, right? Does that make sense, guys? Like the thing is that like no one would doubt that if you have Brianna Joy Gray on, like you would do something like that. But like what it sounds like is that you guys shit on the Democrats like on Live and Learn whenever you guys could, and then like what, like like you guys are doing, like you guys are not actively pushing back against it, right? How is racism defeated? Racism is not defeated whenever it just only comes up, right? Racism can only be defeated when you have active people working against it actively in a large movement, right? I believe that this follows the same principle. You can't have passive resistance. It has to be active resistance, right? It can't be passive resistance. It just can't, right? You have to dedicate some time to it. That's it. You have to dedicate some time to disavowing and spreading the narrative that you can't just be useless to the Democratic Party, right? Yeah. He refused to deal with all the fundamentally wrong things with this model, which he definitely knows and is intentional. Sadly, nobody debating him seems to know these fundamental things. I mean, I think it's been asked multiple times, no? Like, because, I think people have like said, hey, you know, how are you going to get to 90% ownership without any kind of physical violence, right? Because obviously, if you're going to get to 90% ownership, assuming that your country doesn't fucking run on oil like Norway does, right? I mean, you have to say, you have to argue, like, yeah, eventually there's going to be some kind of fucking weird violent shit going on. I don't know. But yeah, who the fuck knows?
By Crystal and Sagar, and he'll make it a point to be like, hey, Sagar, by the way, you were wrong about immigration, right? Like, he'll just he'll openly say that in the interview. And I think that is like, at the very least, it's one way to address the criticism that you've levied of like, you don't necessarily want to like normalize or like allow Sagar to like pepper over his complete insanity on the issue of immigration and Trump. And so even though the topic didn't necessarily, it was like more of an interview for Pisco was more proactive and like, hey, Sagar, by the way, like you were kind of an idiot on this issue, right? And kind of.
Lonerbox is downplaying the tanky saboteurs aren't just overrepresented when challenged. Neither Pisco or Econoboi could even name a left figure who wasn't shitting on the Dems. Yeah, they couldn't. They couldn't. Isn't that a issue? Isn't that a problem? Yeah, sure. But for the record, okay, like Lonerbox does agree with Destiny, right? But I think that is one specific part. I mean, Lonerbox didn't watch the entire debate, which is another issue that I have with it. Because otherwise he would show just how fucking weaselly and slimy Pisco is. Also, why the fuck did he skip over, like, amazing content like that? Oh my god. Is it because of Destiny? I don't think so, right? But yeah, I don't know. He should have commented more on it. For sure. I've heard nothing about the inflation impact printing or issuing debt several times our GDP or debt, or the destruction of our currency, destruction of global markets. I mean, it kind of already falls apart when you ask someone, hey, is there any point to creating a fucking tech startup company in fucking Norway? Sorry, in not Norway, but like, is there any point in starting like a fucking tech company in your socialist country? Just mainly because like, how could you like start a company there knowing that eventually it's going to be seized by the state or something, or you know they're going to offer you, or you're going to have to confine yourself to regulations and shit.
Forcing Sagar to openly be like, yep, no, I was totally wrong about that. Or at the very least, get him to try and like waffle on a defense. Like, I think that's kind of how I would generally try to interact.
I've got a question. Does Pisco and Loner have a bridge? I don't think so. The reason I don't think so is because Pisco openly associates with the Great Betrayer. And the Great Betrayer is not on good terms with Lonerbox for obvious reasons, I think.
With those people.
He can't get caught remotely glazing Destiny with the Jew gang stalkers in the bench. I don't think he cares enough for that. But like the thing is that Queeman and Lonerbox still has a bridge, which is crazy, which is fine, you know, whatever, I guess. But kind of surprises me that Lonerbox and Queeman still has a bridge, actually. Kind of surprising considering how much Queeman shit on Lonerbox recently. But
insofar as they would platform me and
really
as
strange.
They become more relevant. I don't know what you think about that general strategy, but I think that kind of just fits my type of personality, I guess, and how I would think about those interactions.
Before we get to a priority, sure.
I don't know about you in particular, or with I didn't see Pisco talking to Crystal and Sagar. I do know that if I was getting congratulated or like commended by Hassan for making his opinions look a bit more chill than they actually are, I feel like that would maybe worry me a little bit, but especially if it was over, like, what was it, over re-education camps, or which I think is he definitely made camps. And if he didn't, then everyone in his audience who heard it did. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a Pisco thing. Like, I don't really agree with how, like, Pisco and I haven't really spoken about it, but I don't agree with I can't see who else joined, but welcome. I don't really agree with how Pisco kind of framed the re-education camp issue.
Why the fuck does Lonerbox have people who have perms to just enter the stream room whenever they want? Can't you just like force them all to like just stay in the weight room until you drag them in? Like fuck. Like it's like these people who just want to be on stream because they want to be in the fucking spotlight are so cringe.
Just in general, because yeah, I think that Hassan seems to have like more extreme views in that regard. At least like, I guess like I think Pisco's ultimate point is like,
I don't know what he commented this. I don't think he has a PhD. I think he has a master's degree in political science or some shit. I don't know. Maybe the bridge got burned on Lonerbox. Well, Lonerbox isn't good with straight raid, right? Like he probably fucking hates straight raid, and for good reason. So like, yeah, if Pisco is streaming with straight raid, I feel like it's such a big deal breaker. No, it has to be. Otherwise, Lonerbox is a cuck. But I don't think he's a cuck. So I choose not to believe. I choose not to believe that Lonerbox is a cuck to that. So yeah.
you're ultimately operating on
a PhD. That's just something Jace said. I don't know. It's I'm just
conjecture because what he actually said is this. But I disagree in part that I think, you know, it's probably sensible to make some leaps when you're assuming what someone's true intention is. But I think that where I would disagree is just like the general controversy with me specifically has been, oh, like, you know, you didn't essentially scream at the Vanguard, so you're basically a Marxist-Leninist. You're basically a tanky sweeper. You know, like
Yeah, it's not about screaming.
Literally, no one said that. Just FYI, okay? No one is asking. Literally, and by the way, there's such like bad faith representation too. No one is asking for Econoboi to scream at the Vanguard. What a retarded way to frame everything, and what a dishonest way, actually. No, not just retarded, dishonest. No one asked you to scream. Like it's kind of like shocking to me how like these people are still so unfamiliar with the argument that Destiny was making in the first place, right? Fuck, I thought that would be simple to understand, but fuck, dude. Whatever. Connor might be, sure, but like I'm just saying, it's just like they're not making any sense, you know.
Screaming, and again, I'm trying to characterize like where I think other people are coming from on this because I don't remember it well enough to go fully into it, but like I don't think it's about screaming because the tone arguments are stupid. It's more just about I think the thing it seems like they're trying to communicate here, and that Hutch seemed like he was trying to communicate, was just that it didn't come off like you saw them as like the enemy that someone like Hutch thinks that they should be seen as.
Yes.
And I think you can do that without shouting, right? Like you can calmly make someone feel like an enemy.
Yes. Yes. True. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know if I guess I don't know that I would characterize people like the Vanguard as quote unquote the enemy, right? But I just don't know that I would characterize like, okay, it's like maybe like an enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of type situation where like obviously again like I don't think like the Vanguard guys would be productive like members of the strategic coalition or anything like that. Like I feel like I've made that at least somewhat clear. I think that I guess Josiah gets in trouble with that a little bit because he said something like, you know, he thinks that the Vanguard are more proximate allies than people like Rob Noor or something like that. There was like something like that he said. And I mean, I think that probably is true, that in terms of like who could you sit down and strategize with more in terms of accomplishing your political goals? Well, it probably would be the Vanguard and not Rob Noor, but that's obviously like quite an extreme contrast between the two. Generally speaking, like, yeah, like I don't think that the Vanguard should be invited into conversations like that because, you know, yeah, like they do seem to have like a bit of derangement with regards to like a lot of Democrats, right? And I have a lot of criticisms.
I mean, dude, but this is the frustration. You're downplaying it a little bit by like laughing and memeing and joking along. If it's true, if it's true that the Vanguard has called like Pete Buttigieg like a fucking like rat-faced like whatever the fuck, right? And also was like just completely unhinged when it comes to some of the insults. Like, don't you think that's a problem? Don't you think you don't think that they're actively working against the Democratic Party at that point when Pete is such a popular candidate and he deserves all the support that he needs? Like, the thing is that Pete deserves all the support that he needs, and you are hand-waving the fact that they are so anti, like, Pete, right? Like, the thing is that they are enemies. They are enemies, plain and simple. How could you just say this? It just makes no sense, right? How old is he come by? I don't fucking know, dude. But he's just like, I just don't get how he could downplay this. Really, you don't think, like, you're okay with people smack talking with the most popular members of the Democratic Party right now. that we need to throw our weight behind. Really? You sure about that? It's like, okay. I don't even think he cares all that much about the Democratic Party. Well, Econoboi. But he should. Fuck. I mean, when he says like, oh, the Vanguard shouldn't be part of the strategic like coalition. Who? Who is the fucking strategic coalition for you? What? Shouldn't you be against people who are like, who want to make content out of the Democrats failing? Like it's so clear to me that there's a group of people out there who make content out of Democrats who fail, right? Because they get more clicks that way, they get more views that way, they get more money that way, right? It's so clear to me. Like everyone can see it. It's so plainly in front of our eyes, right? There's this group out there here who make a profit, who turn a profit off of seeing the Democrats fail and making fun of the Democrats, right? They're like snarkers. They're like snarkers. I got it. They're like snarkers. They're like Democrat. Oh my god. When you apply drama terms to politics, everything starts to make sense.
Just a drink. A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Sounds like political clout chasing TBH.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much for the $5, 8-bit. Thank you so much. 8-bit Sepher, not 8-bit money. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.